right, now welcome back. So the 28th of October is International Animation Day, and to celebrate it, this year's Kunja Animation Festival will be launched in Johannesburg. Now, this festival will focus on the rising popularity of animation, both locally and internationally, what animation can do for South Africa and advertising, and what the future holds for the local industry. All right, so let's find out more. Joining us in studio, we've got Paul Meyer from Luma, one of the animation agencies, and Daniel Snaddon, the director of Kunja Animation Festival. Good to have both of you. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thanks, Leon.
Thank you very much for having us.
It's just so good to see that animation is growing. I mean, there's even a day to celebrate animation, an international day. Tell us about this day.
Well, International Animation Day, I think, is it's an event that's organized by SABC, which is the sort of international fraternity for animation. And it's really to kind of create awareness about what animation is being done internationally, but what's happening in your local area as well.
Yeah. Fantastic. So South Africa's right up there, in other words.
Yeah, I mean, South Africa's industry is a fledgling industry, but there is such strong growth, and you know, it's really the awareness of the South African animation industry is really growing internationally, and that's why we have having this event this afternoon in conjunction with World Animation Day and the launch of Kunja Animation to really raise the profile of animation in this country and with the press.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk to me about this festival. Is it something that,
Sure.
that happens all the time? Is it a global festival that we're hosting, or is it a local festival?
It's a local festival, but it's done in partnership with the Annecy International Animation Festival, which is the biggest animation festival in the world. And they're based in France, and they've been kind of supporting us. Kunja Animation is in its third year, and this year we're going to be sort of doing something a little bit different. It's got a much more sort of business focus. We have partners at the French Institute of South Africa who are bringing out guests to visit the local industry, to meet with animation producers, to see, you know, if there's any projects or anything that we might be able to collaborate on. But we are also having public events. We've got a full day of workshops and talks at the Wits School of Digital Arts here in Joburg, which is going to be fantastic. We've got speakers from Triggerfish coming up to talk about their work on Kumba, which is the 3D CGI animation feature that they've been working on in Cape Town. And we've got Judd Simmentoff, who worked on The Last of Us, which has been named Video Game of the Year. Wow. Talking about his work on that. So it's going to be a really fantastic event. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Okay, I just want to talk about how South Africa has gotten up to these levels, where we are releasing full feature animation films, 3D nogal, which you talk about Kumba. I mean, it's not the first of the kind, but I know that's coming out this week, so I suppose it is a good talking point. You know, this growth in animation in South Africa, where did it come from? Why such a massive interest from us here?
It comes from animators. You know, animators are storytellers, and they're artists, and they have this desperate, burning desire to tell their stories and to create beautiful, you know, animation, and to play on the world stage just like everybody else. Yeah. So, you know, that's where it comes from. But the government is also supporting the local animation industry in an amazing way.
Wow,
the Department of Trade and Industry has a massive incentive, rebate incentive for animated feature films. The National Film and Video Foundation, you know, support the animators with script development funding and production funding. So there is tremendous support, and you know, the local animation industry is only now catching, well, for the last few years, catching on to this.
Yes.
And so it's gaining momentum.
Good.
You know.
Well, that's fantastic to hear. Okay, so from a layman's point of view, I mean, when we think of animation, we think of cartoons.
Sure.
Okay, sure. But cartoons and animation are they the same thing? But they're not really, are they?
They are. I mean,
are they?
No, they are.
Help me out here.
Absolutely. I mean, there's lots of different sort of methods of creating animation. Each has a distinct flavor. I mean, something like Kumba is a CGI movie. It's made in the computer, and it can kind of do everything from very realistic, very naturalistic looking things. In Kumba, we're very excited about the setting, which is the Karoo. and it's gonna. I think our film's gonna make people want to go visit the Karoo. It looks so beautiful
And so realistic.
and very realistic.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
but it's got sort of an artistic eye. We've got a fantastic production designer,
That's amazing.
Dan Clark, who did these beautiful paintings of the Karoo, and it's gonna
What about
knock people out.
creating animation characters? I mean, I can imagine a lot goes into it. How long do you sort of visualize, work on these characters? Where do you draw inspiration from for these characters?
Wow. Let me try and give you a short answer.
Yeah, I know, it's a tough one, I know.
Anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah.
And I think when you try and create an animated character, you try and create a person with a soul. You know, you try and give birth to a child that is an interesting and appealing character, and that you can nurture, and that you can do endearing and entertaining stuff with. You know.
Yeah.
You know you've got it if there's a sort of flash of recognition, you know, if people can identify something in their character that they can see in their own lives. I mean, in Kumba we've got a sort of a Springboks in the movie that they're sort of a bit of a shout out to the Springbok rugby team.
Oh,
you know,
fantastic.
so if you can make that connection,
that works.
then we've done our job. Yeah.
I love it. Okay, well, I'm trying to think what an animated character I would be if I had to voice that character. I suppose maybe that's what you do as well, in a way. Do you find humans in your characters?
Totally. I mean, you know,
Sure.
you could be inspired by a rock or a piece of bark
Yeah.
to design a character, but you
Okay.
could also be inspired by a person's voice. You know.
All right.
You get, even with voice performers, you get people like, say, Bruce Willis, who can only do Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
Whereas you get guys like Jim Carrey, who can
Who can do
basically do
anything.
anything, you know.
Yeah.
And you'll adapt your character.
Yeah.
based
Yeah, I still
on
see
that.
Ellen DeGeneres as a fish.
Yeah.
That's just
Yeah.
me. She's Nemo and she'll always be Nemo. I love that. Guys, thank you. I've loved the conversation. I could carry on speaking about this forever because I think it's something that we all, no matter how old you are, I mean, you love it. Animation is something that's a part of us. It's grown up with us. But I'm so happy South Africa is now part of this trend as well. Guys, thanks for joining us in studio. Paul Meyer from Luma, one of the animation agencies here in South Africa, one of the leading ones, and Daniel Snaddon is the director of the Kunja Animation Festival that's taking place. All right.